Artemis Toast here, and today I'm talking about what I call 21st century writer's block. I know everybody's familiar with the term writer's block. I guess regardless of what your art or creative genre is, it's when you hit that wall where you're having you know trouble creating your craft, or not being able to think of subject matter, or not finding inspiration, or any creative process. It's something that you could run into. I feel that it's something that I'm going through at the moment, and it's not due to a lack of inspiration or a lack of material, or I got tons of material. I have so many unfinished musical projects, written projects. It's not a lack of focus or a lack of discipline. In fact, it's quite the opposite. And this is what I mean by that. It being the 21st century, it's you've seen from some of my other videos. I record to the laptop. I do my drums on that Kai MPK 25. I use various guitars and one bass. I guess my problem is, there's just too many options. For me, it is in the problem I'm running into. There's too many guitar tones. There's too many bass tones. There's so many drum voices. When there's so many options, due to this technology that makes it so easy, it's hard to grasp onto something, because I'll find myself all the time, finding a new guitar tone and playing with that, or the ability to especially with MIDI drums, to tap out my drums, record my drums in one drum voice, but I have the ability to change that after the fact. And then you get into your production software, and all the different changes you can make. I haven't done a review of it yet, but I typically, when I record, I use the Line 6 Amplify 75, which, if you're familiar with it, it has an infinite amount of tone capabilities. There's an app that you use on your iPhone or iPad or what have you, and you have these your virtual pedals, and it's not too much. I'm not complaining about it, but it's sometimes you gotta limit yourself, or I was watching a documentary about a great animator of the past, Chuck Jones. You may be familiar with him from the Looney Tunes commercial, or excuse me, Looney Tunes cartoons, from several decades ago. If you've seen Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Roadrunner, and Coyote, Marvin the Martian, you've run across his work. And I was watching a documentary about him, and through his own words, he was talking about these disciplines he had, where he set, he created rules for himself, because as an animator, he could draw anything, and as a musician, you play anything, and sometimes that gets in, I wouldn't say it gets in the way, but it makes it very hard to focus. It's not like it was a long time ago. At least according to music. Where you didn't have multi-track recorders, and you did, but not the way they are now. The way it is digital. Maybe you had a 4-track recorder. You could overdub. There weren't as many pedals for guitars. Sometimes maybe in in a good way, there were limitations. It allowed you to better focus. And the reason why I'm talking about this is, at the moment, for a few months now, I've had what I like to call 21st century writer's block. Not a lack of output, not a lack of, inspiration or ideas or riffs or drum patterns or beats or bass rhythms. It's mainly the infinite tone variations that are so easy to achieve now. And the reason why I'm talking about this is, if you watch some of my past videos, at one point I was working on a project called, a 3-song EP called Artemis Toast, the title being Crunch, and I abandoned that project, a couple months ago, because it was taking so long that it felt forced, and I just wasn't feeling the projects that I started. So I scrapped that, put it on the back burner, or put it with one of my many uncompleted projects. And since then I've been working on a new project yet to be named. I don't have a title for it. It's just once again, a simple 3-song EP kind of thing. Maybe something extra. I have a few ideas I'm kicking around. I've been, I have some drum parts done, some riffs done, lyrics for at least 2 of them. Or that could change, but I guess what I'm getting at, I'm going to approach these projects, with in Chuck Jones's words, he called it his disciplines. He handled things a certain way, and this is also, I want to give a shout out to a YouTube page I love to watch, called Every Frame a Painting. And he and I believe the gentleman's name is Tony that has that channel. He did a great upload about Chuck Jones's work and his approach to his work, and I highly recommend watching it. But I'm gonna take a page out of that of Chuck Jones's book, as far as creating a set of disciplines that kind of help corral the infinite possibilities, so I could create a finished product. It gets really frustrating sometimes that there's just so many things that I'll get lost in the guitar tone that I make, and that kind of takes me off the task at hand. So once again, what I'm gonna do for this next project that I'm working on, and I'm actually planning to release it, October 22nd of this year. That's another thing, giving myself a date. Sometimes I work best under pressure, and it kind of gives me I guess a deadline or a goal date, but I'm gonna limit, the guitar tones. I'm going back to basics. One drum kit, one MIDI drum kit on the Akai MPK 25. So that way I don't get lost in these sound tangents that occupy a lot of time. Not that I don't enjoy it. I mean, of course I do, but it's getting in the way of me finishing projects. And once again, for bass tone, it's gonna be one bass tone. These are my disciplines. One drum tone, one bass tone. Guitar tone is another thing. Maybe one rhythm tone, one lead slash solo tone. I do like to include some kind of, you know, synth or, so this next project is going to be a very focused, disciplined project, with a due date, you know, that I'm giving to myself, so that way I could better focus my attention, you know, to the project that I'm working on, you know, which is really, really hard to do, you know, especially, you know, if you find another spark of inspiration that wants you to, you know, start on something else. Or I'm not going to ignore that. I'm going to apply that to what I'm working on instead of, you know, thinking like, hey, this will be a great tone for this project. Or, you know, whatever new inspirations that come along in this time frame, you know, it's going to be directed to this one project that I'm working on, you know, musically. But basically, you know, that's what I feel, you know, 21st century writer's block is, at least to me. I remember a line from, you know, a Tool song, you know, constant overstimulation numbs me. It's too easy, you know, it's not like it was before, as far as, you know, you got a guitar, you play the guitar, it makes that tone, you know. So long story short, or short story long, you know, that's what I'm currently working on. That's what I feel 21st century writer's block is. Not a lack of inspiration or ideas, but an overabundance. But I'm working on it. Artemis Toast.